You lie beneath a blanket of stars, the scent of pine in the air. Deep below, a warmth hums, a slow, ancient breath in Earth's chest. Yellowstone is calm, its geysers steaming in quiet conversation. But far beneath, something massive sleeps and dreams. You begin to listen, not with fear, but with curiosity. You lie back, the ground cool and firm beneath you, a blanket wrapped around your shoulders. The trees stretch tall and quiet above, their branches whispering in the evening wind. The sky unfolds like soft velvet, dusted with stars. Somewhere nearby, a geyser sighs, exhaling steam into the chill night air. It sounds almost like breathing, slow, deep, steady. This place, Yellowstone, is alive, not just with elk and bears, not only with forests and rivers, but with something deeper. Beneath the soil, beneath the stone, beneath the trails and the old volcanic rock, something immense rests in silence. It is not angry. It is not awake, but it is there, and it has been here long before you. You can feel it if you pay attention, not as fear or urgency, but as a presence, warm and slow, like the pulse of the earth itself. The land you lie on is shaped by that ancient force, by fire and time. There's a reason the air smells faintly of sulfur in some places, like struck matches or mineral springs. There's a reason the streams run warm, the colors of their banks painted by heat-loving microbes, orange, yellow, turquoise, blue. These are surface signals of a deeper truth. Far beneath your resting body is a chamber of molten rock, magma, held in a vast reservoir of heat and pressure. It doesn't roar or rage, it waits. Yellowstone is a caldera, a word that means cauldron in Spanish. But this isn't a place of bubbling broth. It's a memory of eruption, of land collapsing into itself after a release so powerful, the sky darkened and the climate shifted. You are lying inside that memory. A caldera is formed not just by an explosion, but by the quiet settling afterward. When the land opens, then sinks, like a breath held too long, then exhaled. The Yellowstone caldera was born 640,000 years ago, an event so large it left ash from California to the Gulf of Mexico. Yet today, it is calm. The bison graze without worry. The geysers spout in playful rhythm. The land is peaceful, and yet alive with story. There have been 3 massive eruptions in Yellowstone's history. The first, 2.1 million years ago. Then again, 1.3 million years ago. And the third, the most recent, the one that shaped the land beneath your back, happened so long ago that human memory wasn't even born. These eruptions were not ordinary volcanoes. They were supervolcanoes. But super doesn't mean loud. It doesn't mean angry. It means scale, the kind that touches continents and skies. Still, this land doesn't frighten you. It comforts, because you can feel its age, its slowness, its patience. The earth doesn't rush. You imagine the magma chamber like a great sleeping heart, not pounding, but pulsing gently, once every 1,000 years. Scientists have peered into it, not with eyes, but with seismic waves and radar, like doctors listening to the heartbeat of a giant through the layers of its skin. The warmth you feel beneath Yellowstone comes from that hidden heart. Heat rising from deep in the mantle, moving upward through cracks and faults, feeding the geysers, the springs, the bubbling mud pots that gurgle and steam like dreaming thoughts. This geothermal activity is not a warning. It is a lullaby, a reminder that Earth is never truly still. And you, a small, thoughtful traveler, are welcome to listen. As you breathe with the stars above and the land below, you sense the scale of time here. Eons stretch like a slow melody. Volcanic eruptions, when they come, are rare, like punctuation in a novel written over millions of years. Between them, long, quiet chapters unfold. You are in one of those chapters now. Still, the memory of what this place once did lives in the rock. You can walk through deposits of ash that settled like snow long before cities rose. You can stand near obsidian cliffs, born of lava that cooled to glass. Each stone tells a story of fire, then cooling, chaos, then calm. Yellowstone has not erupted for 640,000 years. That is not a countdown. It is a lull, a pause so vast it outlasts civilizations. And still, the land shifts. Geysers don't erupt on command. They build pressure in secret. They gather heat and gas and water in chambers beneath the earth until at last they burst skyward. But even that burst is not violent. It's playful, even rhythmic. Old Faithful, the most famous of all, lets loose every 90 minutes or so. Like a heartbeat you can set your watch to. You watch it rise from a distance, the steam climbing toward the stars, then fading, just like the earth, rising, then settling again. This place reminds you that power can sleep, and in its sleep, it can be beautiful. And so you lie there, still, breathing with the land, feeling its history hum beneath you like a distant drum. You don't need to imagine explosions or ash clouds just yet. That story will come. For now you begin where all stories of great power begin, in the quiet, before anything happens, in the stillness beneath the pines, in the hush before the earth shifts, in the gentle space where questions start to form. What is this fire beneath the crust? Where does it come from? How does it rise? And why does it sleep? You feel the ground warm beneath you, the hush of the forest around you, and you begin to wonder. What does it mean when the heart of the earth begins to breathe fire? Earth is not still. She turns, she stirs, she simmers. Molten rock flows like thoughts beneath her crust. You imagine magma as sunlight trapped in stone, waiting to rise. This is the engine of a supervolcano, patient, powerful, hidden. Tonight we drift toward her slow, secret rhythm. The earth you walk upon feels solid, firm, unchanging, trustworthy. But this is only her skin. Beneath that surface, she moves, she shifts, she flows. Tonight, as you rest in the hush of Yellowstone's wide embrace, you begin to sense it, a quiet churning below your feet, far deeper than any cave, deeper than the deepest well or mine. A world beneath the world. There, in the mantle, a vast layer of rock that behaves like soft wax under great heat and pressure. The fire lives. Not flames like a candle, but molten rock, magma. It moves slowly, 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 like honey in winter, like thoughts unspoken. You imagine it now, a deep ocean of red and gold glowing with ancient heat, pulsing with the memory of creation. This is the heart of the earth, and it breathes, not with lungs, but with motion, convection currents rising and falling like tides within stone. Hot rock rises from deeper places, swells upward, cools, and sinks again, a rhythm older than time. It is this gentle, persistent movement that brings magma toward the surface, where it may someday feed a volcano. But most magma never erupts. It rises, pauses, melts through the crust like ink through paper, then hardens in the silence. It may take thousands of years for pressure to build enough to find release. And even then, it is not violence that defines it. It is energy, stored, waiting. This is how Yellowstone's vast underground chamber formed, not from a single burst, but through slow accumulation, a swelling of molten rock pushed upward over millions of years, a gentle, persistent force that carved out a reservoir of unimaginable size, larger than you can walk across in a day. You picture it now, not as a threat, but as a deep, glowing ember beneath a hearthstone. It glows quietly, fueling warmth, not destruction, feeding the hot springs, the geysers, the steam that rises from cracks like the earth exhaling in her sleep. Scientists call it a hotspot, a fixed point where heat rises from deep in the mantle. Unlike most volcanoes that form at the edges of tectonic plates, this one sits right in the middle of a plate. And it moves, or rather, the plate moves over it. Like a candle held beneath a drifting sheet of paper, the heat from the hotspot burns upward as the crust slides slowly above. Over time, this leaves a trail, old volcanic scars across the land, like footprints in cooled lava. The Snake River Plain in Idaho marks that path, each ancient caldera a chapter in this molten journey. Yellowstone is just the most recent footprint, the current point of contact. But even this word, recent, stretches back hundreds of thousands of years. You think about time differently here, not in days or years, but in layers of ash, in cooled flows of basalt, in fossils buried beneath rock. The earth doesn't count in seconds. She counts in eruptions, in drift, in the long sleep between stirrings. And yet, despite this slowness, the engine never stops. Heat from Earth's core, the residual fire from planetary formation, the decay of radioactive elements continues to rise. Always. This is the breath of the planet. It rises unseen, pushing gently against the crust. Sometimes it breaks through. Other times, it merely warms the stone, feeds the water that becomes steam, paints the ground with minerals, colors the pools in brilliant rings of life. Magma, when it nears the surface, doesn't always erupt. Sometimes it cools underground, becoming granite. Other times, it finds a path and creates lava, molten rivers of rock that pour across the land. But in Yellowstone, the magma mostly stays hidden, until, rarely, it does not. And when it rises in volume and pressure, when it cannot be contained, a supervolcano can form. Not because it grows angry, but because the balance shifts. Pressure exceeds resistance, and the earth, like a whisper grown too loud, speaks. But you are not there yet. Tonight is not the eruption. Tonight is the breath before, the long, warm exhale of the planet beneath you. You imagine the magma as sunlight trapped in stone, a glowing echo of the star that warms your days. It waits beneath you, not in silence, but in slow motion, and it teaches you something gentle, that even the most powerful forces grow slowly. You think of your own breath. Inhale, exhale, a rhythm. You are not so different. You hold energy, you build warmth, you feel pressure, and sometimes you release it through laughter, tears, a sigh. The earth does too. This understanding settles into your body like warmth from a campfire. You feel connected to something ancient, something immense, and yet it does not overwhelm you. It holds you. Above, the stars continue to watch. Below, the magma continues to move, not toward eruption, not toward chaos, but toward balance. This chapter of the story is not loud. It is molten and dreaming. As your body sinks deeper into rest, you begin to wonder, if the magma is always rising, always building, always shifting, then how does the land above respond? Does it tremble? Does it lift and swell? What signs does the earth send when her deep heart begins to stir? You walk through the caldera, a bowl carved by ancient fury. Steam rises from hot springs like dreams from a sleeping mind. This land has erupted before, 3 times, far apart in time. Each breath of eruption changed the world, and now the ground rests, but listens. You walk slowly through a wide, quiet valley. It looks like any other valley, green, open, peaceful. But this one is not carved by rivers, not shaped by glaciers. It is a caldera, the deep, sunken scar of a supervolcano, Yellowstone. It does not look dangerous. No jagged peaks, no blackened slopes, no visible wound, just soft hills, tall grass, and warm steam curling from hidden places. The land has healed, but it remembers. You feel it as you walk, not in fear, but in awe. This place was once the center of something vast, something explosive, something world-changing, and now it sleeps, like a giant curled into the mountain folds, its dreams drifting upward in geysers and steam vents. The ground beneath your feet is more than dirt and stone. It is memory. It is record. It is the quiet aftermath of fire. 3 times this land has released its molten heart. 3 times the eruption was so immense it changed the sky, not in a single moment of rage, but in a long exhale of ash, heat, and silence that followed. The first eruption, the Huckleberry Ridge event, was 2.1 million years ago. It sent ash over what is now half the United States, ash that settled like snow, cooling the air, dimming the sun, altering ecosystems. Then, 1.3 million years ago, another eruption, the Mesa Falls event, smaller, but still vast beyond imagining. The earth opened again, released pressure, then closed and rested. The third, the Lava Creek eruption, 640,000 years ago, carved the very caldera you now walk within. This valley, this bowl, this cradle of steaming waters and whispering pines, it was formed not by one blast, but by collapse. After the eruption emptied the magma chamber, the ground above had nothing left to hold it. It fell inward. The land sank, and in that quiet fall, a new landscape was born. You pause near a hot spring, the water impossibly blue, ringed by orange and gold. The colors come from life, tiny organisms that thrive in heat, called thermophiles. They live where you could not, where most things would perish. But here, they bloom, like wildflowers born of fire. This is the strange beauty of Yellowstone. Life from heat, color from ash, stillness from violence. You wonder how something so powerful can now feel so gentle. But this is the nature of time. It smooths edges, it cools lava, it turns craters into valleys and steam into stories. Still, the giant sleeps below. Its breath is measured in decades. Its movements recorded not in footsteps, but in rising ground, shifting lakes, trembling stone. In the last few decades, scientists have seen the land here lift and fall as though stretching in its sleep. They call it uplift, a gentle swelling of the caldera floor, sometimes inches, sometimes more. Not constant, not loud, but steady. The magma chamber below, like a tide, pushes upward slightly, then retreats. It doesn't mean eruption. It means the system is alive, responsive, breathing. You continue walking, feeling the land curve beneath you like the palm of a giant's hand. It does not clench. It does not rise in anger. It simply holds you. You think about how rare this is, a supervolcano in slumber. There are only a few like Yellowstone on Earth. They are not just large volcanoes. They are events, capable of reshaping climates, influencing life, marking geologic time with layers of ash. But they are also rare, unimaginably rare. Most of the time, they do not erupt. They simmer. They feed geysers. They change slowly, imperceptibly. And here you are, walking in the space between eruptions. The long silence, a silence that has lasted for hundreds of thousands of years. You imagine the last eruption, not as a sudden bang, but as a slow unspooling of energy. Ash clouds rising for days, lightning flickering in the darkened sky, the sun dimmed, temperatures falling, a year with no summer, a pause in the rhythm of seasons. And yet, life continued, adapted, moved on, and the earth, ever patient, ever rhythmic, began to heal. Now Yellowstone is a place of curiosity, not crisis, a laboratory of steam and stone, where people come to watch the geysers rise, to feel the heat in the soil, to stand on a sleeping story. And you, here tonight, listen. You listen not for alarm, but for understanding. You feel the weight of the years, not as a burden, but as presence. This giant is not angry. It is simply vast, a system of magma, rock, water, and time. You lie down again, this time knowing what holds you. Not just ground, but caldera. Not just land, but history. Not just stone, but silence. And in that silence, you find a question blooming in your mind like steam from a hidden spring. What makes a volcano super? Not just large, but capable of touching the sky. What gives a sleeping giant its name? And how do we know when it begins to stir?